Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. All my life, I've been what some people call a straight arrow. I believe that a man should tell the truth, keep his word, and live honestly. This includes the ability to forgive when necessary, but I've never groveled before anyone. I threw it all out the window last night. I would lie and break my word, and the only honor I would cherish would be the self-respect that comes with revenge. To hell with forgiveness. I was sitting in my car at the Nickel Inn. It's a bar in the city. Don't ask me why it's called that. He's been here since my dad wore short pants, and beer probably cost a cent. I knew Jeff would be inside. He always came here for a drink on his way home from work. I've known Jeff since elementary school. He's been my best friend for as long as I can remember. He supported me when I married Barb, and I supported him when he married Claire. There was never a time when he wasn't a part of my life. We were like brothers and practically lived in each other's houses while growing up. In many ways, this did not change after we got married, and it was not unusual for them to enter our house or ours without warning. Betrayal changes a person. Less than 5 hours later, I ran home at lunchtime to pick up some files that I had left there. Everything seemed to be in order. I entered through the front door and was heading to my office when I heard them. The husband's first thought, "My wife is in trouble." You imagine a struggle. Then I heard her voice and understood. Laughter could be heard between the grunts. I went to the open bedroom door, looked inside, and all doubts were dispelled. They didn't notice me. I'm not the type to stand by and watch my wife and best friend betray me, so I just turned around and walked out the front door the same way I came in. My old life is over. I never picked up those files and only remembered about them a few hours later. I was useless at work. I just sat there and replayed what I saw in my head, asking questions that no husband should ask. Why is that? How long? Were there any others? Are these my children? I didn't understand how I would be able to return home and what I would do when I returned. Maybe I should just get in the car, drive, and not stop until I'm 1,000 miles away. Then my thoughts turned to darker thoughts. I would have divorced her and killed him. I would have left her with nothing. Then, over time, I thought about my children. I could have lived without my wife, but I couldn't deprive them of their mother. I decided that I had almost no choice left. I would have met them both in my own way and in my own time, but first I would have spun my web of lies, as they spun theirs. On the way to the Nickel Inn, I thought, how could two people I've known for so many years betray me like that? What's wrong with me? Have I changed? Have they changed? I would think about it for weeks and months, struggling with a terrible feeling of inferiority. I thought, there are no answers to such questions, because the only people who have answers cannot be trusted to tell the truth. I felt really lost and lonely. The truth will be the first thing to be sacrificed tonight. I wasn't pretending when I walked into the Nickel Inn with a mask of anger and disappointment on my face. Jeff saw me right after I came in and shouted, "John, over here, buddy." Damn son, I thought to myself. I nodded, exhaled, and lowered my gaze so that he wouldn't notice that my rage was directed at him. I went over and sat down at his table. Ralph was with him. Ralph is his friend from work. Everything turned out to be better than I imagined. Just in time, John. I was going to order a glass, but now we can order a jug. Just a glass for me. I can't afford to be stopped today. Dude, you look like your dog just died. What's wrong with you? I don't have a dog, Jeff. You know, now that the kids are at school, my wife and I are alone. That's when it hit me, empty nest syndrome. Is that really the case? Did that make her betray me? So what's bothering you? Jeff seemed equally worried about me, and maybe himself. That's the thing with scammers. They always know they might get caught, and they're always worried they might leave a trail. She killed me, Jeff. She fucking killed me. I'm dead, and all I have to do is fall. What the hell are you talking about? Who killed you? You're not dead. You're sitting right here. Come on, John. Whatever it is, it can't be that bad. I looked into his eyes and said, "She infected me with AIDS, Jeff. Barb infected me with AIDS." They say a person's face turns pale when they're in shock and turns green when they're seasick. We were miles away from the sea, but all I saw that day was green. My former best friend turned green as an undead, jumped up from the table, and ran to the men's room. He didn't make it. What was in his stomach that night spread across the floor of the bar. The customers in front and behind him, to his left and right, screamed in disgust and jumped up from their seats to get away from the mess and stench. He was clearly not at ease. A sick drunk is not the most popular person in a bar, and for other patrons he was just that. When the excitement subsided, I turned to the table and looked at Ralph. He looked like he wanted to escape. My wife is cheating on me. It's not a bad way to find out, is it? Ralph just nodded. The only word that could describe his gaze was fear. I wonder if he'll put the pieces of the puzzle together later. In the end, Jeff cleaned himself up as best he could. Returning to our table, he was not popular. All along the way, he caught glances and comments on himself. He came up to our table and, looking down at me, asked, "Are you sure? How do you know that?" I didn't feel well, and the doctor ordered blood tests. The results came in today. Jeff just nodded, turned around, and left the bar. The message has been sent. Ralph found a good reason to leave after a minute, and I wondered who he would tell first. Anyway, I was enjoying a cold beer while thinking about my next move. I briefly wondered what the other tables must be thinking about me as I sat and smiled quietly to myself while enjoying a beer. I sent the message quietly enough so that the people at the next table wouldn't understand what had gotten into Jeff and why Ralph had left so abruptly. It didn't matter. With an empty glass and a surprisingly steady pulse for a dead man, I paid the bill and went to my car. I grinned as I walked and thought, assholes. They gave me a check for everyone. It doesn't matter. It was a small price to pay for the satisfaction I felt. It was about 7 o'clock when I got home. Dinner was burnt, and smoke was coming out of the oven. I turned it off and opened the window. I thought I knew where Barb might be, so I made my darkest face and went into the bedroom. I found her lying face down on the bed, sobbing and shaking. I thought to myself, message sent and received. In the most casual tone I could manage, I asked, "Are you having a bad day?" She screamed, and her screams got louder. "I'm having a bad day today too. I know what happened to me." "What happened to you?" Sometimes I can be a real jerk. Through the crying, I heard a muffled, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." For a moment I felt sorry for what I had done. Then I remembered what I had seen that day, and my regret passed. I started moving my clothes to the guest room, and she noticed my efforts during the second hike. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm moving into the guest room. Please don't go. I need you here." I just stared at her and continued to change clothes. Later that evening, there were muffled phone calls. I didn't try to listen, but one thing was clearly audible when Barb was shouting into the phone. "You were the only one, asshole. I got it from you." Guess 3 times who she was talking to. It was strange and pleasant to realize that Jeff was the only one, and it made me smile. Whatever caused her to cheat on me, it seems to have been a recent and short-lived phenomenon. My anger soon returned, and soon after, my ashamed wife sat down across from me and asked, "Can we talk?" "You tell me. I'll be listening." She was wringing her hands and staring at the floor. "I did a terrible thing. I know it. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, but I want you to know something. First of all, I'm really sorry. I don't know what came over me. Poor wording. I thought." She continued, "Secondly, it was only 2 times, and both times with the same man. I know it doesn't justify anything, but I don't want you to think that I've done this before." She lifted her head and looked into my eyes. "Please take a DNA test if you want, but never think that the children are not yours. They're yours. I swear by all that's holy. I've been a good wife for 25 years. I've never cheated on you. And then, in the last 2 months, I did something stupid." "Who was that?" I knew damn well who it was, but they say confession is good for the soul. "Please don't make me say that." "Then I think we're done." "No. Please? I've already caused you too much pain. I need a name." After a long silence, she said, "Okay, it was Jeff." "My friend Jeff?" "Claire's husband, Jeff?" I tried to keep my voice low. She just nodded. I decided to pretend that I was considering the new information. Maybe I can convince her. "Why did you do that?" were all the words I could utter at that moment. She shook her head. "I drank too much the first time. You weren't there, and Jeff came. He just knocked and came in, as he always did. We were talking and he was joking as usual. We were drinking wine, and I probably drank too much. It was just one time, and that's it. I couldn't get him out of the house. I was so ashamed that I cried all night. And then? She looked at me with such sadness and guilt that I had never seen before. To be honest, I do not know. Every time I've seen Claire since we first met, I felt so guilty. I couldn't live with it. But then the kids grew up, we both work, and I feel old. I know that's not an excuse, and I can't give you a reason to forgive me. I just want you to know that this has never happened before. It was only 2 times, and only with Jeff. I know you hate me, but please believe that I've been faithful to you since our first date until 2 months ago. I didn't have much to say. I listened and was surprised, but I was inclined to believe her. 25 years of marriage have taught me to recognize lies, or so I thought. Now I was doubtful. I have a lot to think about. With that, I went to sleep in the guest room. It wasn't much, but it was the biggest bone I was going to throw her. As you can imagine, the next few days in our house were quiet, or they were quiet, but from time to time I threw angry words. Maybe it was my imagination, but it seemed to me that Barb was getting smaller. That was all I could think of. I wanted to hurt them both as much as possible, but I didn't know what to do next. Besides, I wanted to get back at Jeff, but for now, all I had was his prank at the bar. I had no idea. They say there is no honor among thieves, but Jeff surprised me in 2 ways. First of all, he did cheat on Claire with several other women. Secondly, did he act nobly and tell them that he could have infected them with HIV? Or did Ralph put 2 and 2 together and spread the news? I'll probably never know. Anyway, I didn't expect this. So did his wife. When a string of women came knocking on her door wanting to harm Jeff, they weren't shy about telling his wife everything. I would have thought Jeff could have told his wife sooner than his girlfriends, but Jeff wasn't like that. He must have been gathering his courage, or maybe he had an examination first. It doesn't matter. The following week, Jeff moved into a hotel room and was looking for an inexpensive apartment. I didn't feel sorry for him. It was about this time that it dawned on me. I was thinking about the carnage of last week, and it occurred to me, damn, I should probably take the test for real. As a result, the test turned out to be negative, and I began to think that I had escaped danger. It became clear to me that I hadn't thought everything through. This fact became apparent to me about a week after I verbally punched Jeff in the gut with my HIV story. When my wife took the test and it turned out to be negative, but she still thought I had a positive result, her shame and guilt evaporated almost instantly. Barb stormed into my office one afternoon, cursing things that would make even a Marine blush. She slammed the office door behind her and attacked me. She waved the test results in front of me and shouted, "Who the hell is she? You're making me feel like dirt, and all this time you've been cheating on me behind my back? Who the hell is she? Damn son, when I deal with you, HIV will be just one of your problems." She screamed for a good 2 minutes until she finally ran out of steam. After that, she collapsed into a chair and sobbed uncontrollably. Well, if I wanted revenge, I think I got it. Now it's time to fish or cut the bait. I walked around my desk, knelt down, and hugged her. She pushed me away abruptly, but she continued to cry, so I hugged her again, and this time she snuggled up to me. "What are we going to do, John? We've ruined everything." I took a deep breath and said, "We're going to cry, get cleaned up, and go home. Then we'll get back to normal. It will take a lot of effort, and it will all start with the word with the letter P in the source F. Oh, John, we can't make love right now. You have HIV. The word I had in mind is forgiveness, and it starts with us forgiving each other. I forgive you, John, but our life together is ruined." She sobbed as she said those words. "No, it's not like that. Barb, look at me. I forgive you for your affair, and you have to forgive me for lying to you." Now she didn't seem so much angry as confused. "We both lied to each other, John. That's what betrayal is." "No, Barb, I lied to you about having HIV. That's not so. I came home that day and saw you with Jeff. I was so enraged that I ran out of the house and planned revenge. I decided to tell Jeff that you infected me with HIV, knowing that it would scare him to death. To tell the truth, it didn't go beyond my thoughts. After that, I just reacted to what was happening. Barb's face slowly changed emotions as she processed the new information. To be honest, I had no idea what was going to happen next, but she surprised me. Her whole tone changed. Instead of anger, concern appeared in him. Her voice became quiet, as if the anger and pain had gone away when she thought about everything. So you're not sick? No way. And you're not going to die? No way. You scared the hell out of me, John. You've offended the hell out of me, Barb. She thought about it a little more. And you've never cheated on me with some idiot? No, Barb, I would never cheat on you. I guess that makes me the only cheater in the family. She looked depressed as she said it. We're a great couple, aren't we, John? I suppose so. Do you think we should try again? For the first time since she entered my office, she smiled. Yes, John. Okay. How about I pack my briefcase and we go home early? Yes, John. We held hands as we walked through the corridors of my office and out of the building. At that moment, I was strangely proud of this woman. She cheated on me with my best friend, but she still felt guilty and ashamed, and she paid for looking in the mirror and not liking what she saw there. I was full of optimism and believed that we could rebuild our marriage and make it stronger. I'm still mad at you, John. I know. The feeling is mutual. We were furious, but there were tears in our eyes too. Only time will tell if we have the character and determination to forgive each other. I was sure that was enough. Forgiveness cannot be earned. It can only be obtained. It is even more difficult to restore trust. It is a constant struggle. Nevertheless, we realized the reality of our actions, took responsibility, and worked to heal each other. Barb quickly admitted that she understood my actions and didn't hold a grudge against me. I've never gotten to this point with her, but I admit that we're all human beings and we make mistakes that we sincerely regret. Another act of forgiveness was needed, and it led me to Claire's front door. My actions against Jeff caused her unspeakable fear, as she suggested that she might also have HIV. I apologized for not telling her sooner so she wouldn't worry. I had to admit that in my anger and pain, I never thought about her. In one difficult conversation, she went from anger to forgiveness and genuine amusement as she laughed at my personal revenge on her future ex-husband. He and Barb were never able to establish a relationship, which, I think, was a great loss for both of them. I saw no reason to forgive Jeff. He was a predator that we let into our lives, and we were better off without him. I never told him that I was clean or that Barb didn't have HIV, and I didn't see the point in that. Ralph did his job better than I expected. To her great embarrassment, Barb had to explain over and over again that the rumors about her illness were greatly exaggerated, that she did not have HIV, and that we were still together. It seems that none of those whom Ralph told about this bothered to inform Jeff about it.